Chris Broussard now joining me live. All right, we're all going to beat up on Westbrook. Westbrook wants out. Westbrook, this is no good. Westbrook's hard to play with. Some of this is on James Harden, though, isn't it? He can't get along with anybody.
Some of it's on James Harden. I'm also going to throw out a mystery name at the end of my rant to put a little blame on as well. But yeah, James Harden, look, Dwight Howard, right? They brought in the big man to go with the perimeter star to win a championship in Houston. By the end of their tenure, both of them were trying to get each other traded. All right, Chris Paul. Harden was talking with Chris while Chris was with the Clippers, recruiting him. It's going to work out. We'll be great together. We'll win a championship. After 2 years, they didn't want any part of each other. And now, childhood friend, I don't know, their relationship hopefully is still intact and they're still friends. But Westbrook wants the ball in his hands. Obviously, Harden keeps the ball in his hands. So now Russ wants out. So yes, some of it is on James Harden without question. Here's the mystery name, though, Colin. Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni creates ball-dominant monsters. Now, I like Mike D'Antoni. I think he's a Hall of Fame coach, contrary to most of my media brethren. But everywhere he goes, he coaches, and one guy controls everything, dominates the ball, creates all the offense. It was Steve Nash in Phoenix, which was fine because you had players around him that fit that style. And Nash was more of a passer than a scorer. You had Jeremy Lin for a brief moment in New York. But guess who wasn't happy during Linsanity? Carmelo Anthony, your star, because it was one guy dominating everything and it wasn't him. And now in Houston, James Harden used to be well-rounded. He used to be a versatile offensive player. He was young in OKC, I'll give you that. But he still showed he didn't have to be the man. He didn't have to dominate the ball. He could blend in with other stars. A few years in Mike D'Antoni's system, though, averaging 35, winning MVPs, becoming, to some people, the greatest scorer we've ever seen, putting up pre-merger numbers, and now he only wants to dominate the ball. And so some of this is on Mike D'Antoni creating a monster in James Harden.
Westbrook's legacy doesn't work anywhere, does he? What's his legacy?
Westbrook is in that unique space where he doesn't really have to win a title. Now, granted, if he led a team to a championship or even was the second guy, it would certainly boost his legacy and take him to another level. But we have kind of decided on Westbrook, he's not going to win a championship. That style of play, it doesn't happen. Just like, Colin, we decided on Allen Iverson about 2/3 of the way through his career. Man, this dude is awesome. He's an all-time great. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. We haven't seen too many like him, but we all knew he ain't winning a championship. There's no way, and that's where Westbrook is. Like Iverson, Westbrook will be iconic. Because those triple-double seasons, Colin, unless they become commonplace, unless Luka starts doing it every other year, LeBron does it next season, barring that, we will look back at Russell Westbrook as an icon. When we think of Oscar Robertson, we don't think of the championship he won in 1971 with Lou Alcindor, even though Oscar was great that year and in those finals. He averaged 23 and almost 10 assists in those finals. They swept Baltimore, Earl to Pearl Monroe. But we don't even think about that. We think he averaged a triple-double for a whole season. That's what we'll think about with Russell Westbrook 20, 30 years from now. We say, man, it was this kid. He didn't win it, but he averaged a triple-double for 3 years, and he was only 6 feet, 3 inches tall. That's his legacy. And that's what we remember, Matt.
3 minutes left. I've always been a huge fan of Chris Paul. Everybody always said he's hard to play with, but that's funny. We never talk about Blake Griffin anymore. Why? Because Chris Paul doesn't play with him. We don't talk about DeAndre Jordan. Oklahoma City was great with him last year, and a bunch of guys you've never heard of. Chris Paul wants out. I'm going to throw one at you, and it sounds crazy. He loves L.A. Unlike Kawhi, he's a verbal leader. He was the face of the franchise. He elevates others. Chris Paul to the Clippers makes a ton of sense to me. Your thoughts?
I love it. I just don't know how it happens. Now, are you saying Chris Paul to the Clippers and they keep Kawhi, obviously,
yes.
but also Paul George?
No, I'm saying you got to move Paul George.
Yeah, see, that's where, really?
Yes.
See, look, Chris Paul is a better player than Paul George.
Yes.
As even as Chris has had his struggles in the playoffs at times, I still trust him far more in the playoffs than Paul George. Here's the problem with that, Colin. Chris he's 35, and even though he played a full season last year, the 3 previous years when he had a chance to win a championship, he missed more than 20 games each of the 3 seasons. And remember, he missed the 2 most important games of the season in the playoffs against Golden State when Houston really had a chance to win it. So I would hesitate to give up a star in his prime or who's coming toward his prime, like a Paul George is in his prime, for Chris when I know I can't count on Chris physically. Now, if I can get Chris and keep Paul George and Kawhi, I'm all in. I think they're right there with the Lakers, if not above the Lakers. But without Paul George, as much as I like CP3, I don't think I can do it.
By the way, 30 seconds left. LaMelo Ball, I heard yesterday, is going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. I think he's great on YouTube. I think he's fun. The word is he not really doesn't want to play defense. What do you make of that story that he's the number 1 pick?
Right. Yeah, well, one person I spoke to yesterday told me if he goes to Minnesota with D'Angelo Russell, it will be, quote-unquote, a mess. Melo has talent, but he's viewed as a kid that's kind of silly, kind of immature, may put up numbers, but at this point, at least, not going to play winning basketball. I was told if he goes to Golden State, where he won't play that much, but can learn in a professional atmosphere, he could eventually become a really good player. That'd be good for him. But if he goes to Minnesota, maybe Detroit, there's talk about that, where he can kind of do what he wants and he'll be the star, then it's going to be trouble.
Chris Broussard, Odd Couple with Rob Parker every day. Good seeing you, bud. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.